This is the Ezra podcast, and we have a great fight, great card this weekend. It could have been better. We'll get into that with the Martinez situation and pulling out of this fight. But let's get to the main event. Um, just a fantastic matchup of two legit top guys, and you have to say legit top guys because you have guys that they win of some form of some bout, and that belt makes them stronger for some reason. But that's not the situation. Like, this situation is legit two top guys at the weight class of 115 pounds, and that's Jesse Bam Rodriguez versus Sor Rungvisai. And Sor Rungvisai, if just to refresh your memory, is the man that knocked out Cole Chocolatito, right? Got the controversial decision in the first fight. In the rematch, there was no question. He put Chocolatito to sleep. Now, Jesse Bam Rodriguez is, was a prospect turned, world champ. Now, with the has the capability, it seems like, to be a superstar in the sport, and that's at the lower weight classes, right? At a lower weight class, it seems like he has opportunity to be a superstar in the sport. Very talented, a lot of ability, very fun to watch, very creative, very balanced, great footwork, Lomachenko-esque with his footwork. I think that some people probably don't want to say that, right? But he does have some things that you would see Lomachenko do. He's very gifted himself. He's not no knockoff Lomachenko or anything like that. Everything he does with his legs is just as talented as anyone in boxing. And so Rungvisai's power is still there. His last big fight was against Francisco Estrada, who's to me the best guy in the weight class, even though he has, I know, the controversial win over Chocolatito. Just technically he's the best man in the weight class, right? He's the champ of the weight class. I would consider him the true champion of the weight class, just going off the official decisions. But so Rungvisai's last big fight was him, and Rungvisai made a very interesting choice to fight orthodox in that fight, even though he's a southpaw. Usually, he fights orthodox like a majority, especially the first half of the fight, and he just doesn't look like the same guy. He looks real clunky with that style. Doesn't seem like something he's very loose with, and it's very hard to explain. Like when you switch southpaw to orthodox, and some fighters can do it, but sometimes there's a noticeable fall off when someone does it, and I've trained both sides before, like southpaw and orthodox. I feel comfortable doing both, but there is one side that's just, it takes a little longer for my brain to connect with, and it's not as smooth. It doesn't do the, there's some motions I can do with the other side that I can't do with one side. And I would Rungvisai, I really noticed in that fight that he couldn't do some of the motions, that he was smoother when he switched to southpaw in the second half of the fight. I haven't got an answer on why he fought orthodox. I don't know. I was looking up, just maybe there was an interview where he explained that. I couldn't find it, why he won in that fight orthodox. But when he went southpaw, he obviously had more success. He was just looser with it. I'm not saying that if he was southpaw the whole time, he would have won that fight, but it was definitely a different Sor Rungvisai when he was southpaw in the fight. And I expect him to stay southpaw at this point. It's not like orthodox versus, it's not like he's fighting orthodox fighter, so he's going to go orthodox to try to match and mirror what he's facing and make it maybe create openings for himself. No, I imagine he stays southpaw for this fight. But if he does do that, I don't think he's, I don't think it's 100, like it's interchangeable for him. I don't really believe that. With a guy like Bam Rodriguez, it might be more interchangeable. He's more athletic to me. His legs are just more stable. They just seem like they're more capable of doing stuff. And if you notice, like even when he knocked down Quadras, that was off of spinning Quadras, and when he spun him, he switched stance mid his movement, and Quadras got off balance because he was spun. But Bam was able to switch his legs, and that quickly allowed him to get back in position to punch, which ended up dropping Quadras. So he's a guy that's very capable of doing that. When it comes to Bam in this fight, and Bam is young, he's about, I believe he's like 22, 23 years old. He's the youngest world champion in the world, actually, right now. I really think the Bam's footwork, hand speed, balance, positioning, I think he could have a field day with Sor Rungvisai. I think he can land wherever he wants. I think he can really pile it on. Where I think it gets interesting is because of Bam's style, he's kind of always, what he does is he moves very good in tight spaces. But the problem is when you're in tight spaces, you're always kind of at risk. It's like when they see the ships like in a movie, and he's like, you can go through a meteor field, right? And the guy takes control, and he's avoiding all the meteors, and he's but he's still like once in a while he'll nick one or something like that. He it's just tough. You couldn't consistently do that without hitting one, right? Bam kind of tries to consistently do that without getting hit, right? Without taking great damage. And it's a dangerous way to fight, especially against a guy like Sor Rungvisai, who I think if Bam was to, move around and box, it's not really a style that I've seen him fully do a full fight. But if he would do that, I think that makes it really tough for Sor Rungvisai. I don't think Sor Rungvisai's legs allow him to get to the position he needs to. But if you're going to stay in, even if you're able to cut corners, turn them around, be in a good positioning, you're still going to give him the chances he needs. I think Sor Rungvisai is going to have opportunities that he wants in this fight. I do expect that Bam would just be too much, too balanced. One thing to look out for what Bam does is his straight punches, right? His straight jab, his straight left. They're very like there's no fat on them at all. It's kind of an unappreciated part of his game. Is he hits you with a jab? It's very straight, no wasted motion on it. His straight left is no wasted motion on it. I think that he's going to have a lot of success. I think he's going to be able to hit Sor whenever he wants. I think he's going to be able to spin him, do all these things. You're going to see Sor fall off balance. I wouldn't be surprised if even Sor gets dropped a few times just because of balance issues. I would not be surprised in this fight. He puts a lot into his punches. He could get turned around. I think he could miss with some wide shots, fall over, and Bam counters him to drop him. But if you're going to be playing, in the meteor field, you might get hit once in a while, right? You might you're taking a chance. You have the combos be perfect. And I guess the guy, so like Sor Rungvisai, he only needs to be perfect for a second. It's like that thing, he has power. This guy's got to be perfect the whole fight. Sor Rungvisai only needs to be perfect for a second. And I have seen Bam kind of slow down midway through fights. It's a lot of motion what he's doing. It's a lot of energy what he's doing. I have seen him slow down. Even in the Quadros fight, he slowed down. He slowed down. Now, did he pick it back up? Yes, he did. But he did slow down in that fight. There was portions where he was more hittable. He also sometimes stays inside and gets a little too cute. Like he tries to he'll drop his right hand and try to block his right side with his left hand over his shoulder, with like trying to catch it. Now, sometimes he's a little late with that. He reads it wrong, or sometimes it's just even though you do that, you're putting your left hand on that side to block your chin. There's still openings, right? There's still you got your ear here, your top of your head, the back of your ear. There's still openings there. And gets a guy like Sor Rungvisai, you give him, that if he can put in a shot right there, that might be all he needs. So you're gonna kind of have to watch Bam. I think early on he's gonna be very effective. I think he's gonna land a lot of shots. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Sor goes down a few times. The middle rounds and that portion where he kind of slows down, doesn't have the exact same movement. He's a little bit more tired, kind of has to build his energy back up. That's gonna be a point where it gets interesting. And just the parts where he just stays in too long. Gets a little cute, has a little bit too much success on the inside, and says, well, if I'm landing, I'm going to keep landing. That's another thing that happens. If you land on a guy and he's easy to be hit, a lot of times you'll keep doing it. You're just going to keep going to the well and to the well and to the well. And before you know it, you're kind of like in a dogfight because you're just landing and teeing off on this guy. But if the guy can take it, and so Rungvisai seems like the kind of guy if you look at all his past fights, is the kind of guy that can take it. You might stay in there too long, or you might end up in a dogfight or a firefight that you really don't need to be in, but it's just because you're landing and having success, you just stay in there. So these are kind of things with Bam's inexperience could really get him in trouble in this fight. But if he can avoid all those things, and if he can stay focused and maybe not, choose not to get greedy and have a very mature this fight, and he can still dominate. I think he has the ability to dominate this fight. I think he has the ability to win a lopsided decision. Maybe, I don't want to say a stoppage because someone's like the kind of guy could take a shot. He's a durable guy. I don't want to say stoppage. I think he could really put it on him. I would take Bam decision in this fight. Like I said, it's just going to be the points where does he get greedy? Does he get overconfident? Does he give Sor too many opportunities on the inside? Is Sor going to do something stupid like try orthodox, which he was hitting pads in the orthodox stance? These are the things. I'm going to pick Bam in this fight, lopsided decision. I think that he's going to be able to tee off whenever he wants. I just those little points, right? And like I said, Sor only needs to be perfect for a second. And can he land and use this guy's inexperience against him, use his confidence against him in this fight? to be very interesting. I think it's actually a battle of just experience and mentalities in this ring. I think that really is because ability wise, it's Bam all the way. But the mentality, the discipline, all those things, and the veteran of Sor Rungvisai versus the maybe overly confident young fighter coming up, world champion. Let's see how that plays. Let's see what kind of factor that plays. In the co-main event, we have MJ versus Ronnie Rios. Now I call him MJ because his real name is Morojan Akhmadiliev. I might have nailed that one. I don't know. I said it a few times before I recorded to try to get it. I might have nailed that right there. That felt good about that. But let's just call him MJ, right? Because that's what he said his nickname is. Versus Ronnie Rios. Now MJ is the more talented fighter. There's MJ has a lot of ability. He's obviously gifted. Now I don't think Ronnie Rios is gifted in the way MJ is, right? He doesn't have the explosiveness, the power, the leg movement, just the athleticism that MJ has. But Ronnie Rios does have some gifts. He's durable, he's tough, he's relentless, he's able to be in kind of like firefights and stay calm. There are gifts that he has, right? I think a lot of times that in these matchups, if you have one guy like that, a lot of times, like you have a guy that's like, oh, this guy's the power puncher and this guy's a boxer. So there's no way the power puncher can win a decision. That's just how we want to make it as simple as possible. It's much more complicated than that. MJ does have all these physical gifts that you can see when the ring happens, again in the ring. But Ronnie Rios has gifts that maybe it's going to take some time to see, right? As a fight plays out, you'll start to see it. And it's toughness and it's the ability to be durable and the will to come forward and not allowing one shot or two big shots to deter him from his goal. And that's what he's going to need in this fight. He's going to need that. It's going to take grit. It's going to take all these things. And those aren't just things in movies, or those aren't just things that, anyone could pull out. No, sometimes some guys are gifted with it. I think Ryan Rios might be the kind of guy that could be gifted with it. And if he is, then this could be a very interesting fight, because early on, I don't think he's been able to catch MJ. I don't believe he will be able to catch MJ. I think MJ is going to be able to keep the distance. I think MJ is going to be able to pick him apart with the 1-2 and wait for him to open up from too far away and hit him with some looping shots. I expect that. But the key flaw in MJ's game is he doesn't have an inside game. And he doesn't just have it offensively. He doesn't have it defensively. And he could fall apart. And Ronnie Rios wants to get on the inside, and he's going to apply forward pressure. And he's not just kind of guy like with dumb forward pressure. He's kind of pretty smart, like on where he chooses to work, and he will work from a distance. He will work his way in. And sometimes, people say, well, you can't punch from too far away because you're setting yourself up to be countered. But sometimes when you punch from far away, it allows you to come in, and it's not like the guy can fully commit to his power, right? He can maybe counter you, but you're coming in on him, and he can't fully evacuate his defense, right? It's kind of like cover fire in a way. I see Ronnie Rios is capable of doing that. Now, what I am curious of Ronnie Rios' work rate in this fight, because while being a pressure fighter and all that, it's not like sometimes he sells out, and then I think he kind of going to need to sell out in this fight, especially when he could get on the inside. When he could get on the inside of, I want the fight poster behind me. I should have had that up right away. But when he could get on the inside of MJ, he can really break MJ's mentally, physically, because MJ is not comfortable in there. He's not comfortable on the inside. But Ryan Rios is going to have to let the first rounds and maybe some of the big shots he might take, or just lopsidedness of the first rounds, not break him mentally. He's going to have to come and be energized in the midway section of the fight to the second half of the fight. And even if he's down on the scorecards, to keep pushing forward, to get to the spots where you can have success. And that's going to be on the inside, applying pressure and letting MJ, kind of tire himself out and kind of wilt to the pressure. I'm going to pick MJ in the fight. I think that he's going to be up on the scorecards by the time we get to the midway point. I think he'll be I don't expect him to start having issues until later in the second half of the fight. I think that they will peak. I think you will see them. I think when they get on the inside, you'll see, his limitations there. And he is athletic, gifted, but I don't think he's I don't think his movement is the most craftiest. I really don't. I think a lot of it relies on just he has good legs and he has spring. He's springy, right? But I don't think that he knows how to buy himself time. I don't think he knows how to maybe cut a corner that so we're not wasting that much energy. No, you can make him waste a lot of energy, and he can make him very active. And a guy like Ronnie Rios, let's see if he can tire out MJ later in the fight. Now, if MJ wins this fight, there's a Fulton fight for him, maybe possibly even an Inoue fight. It could get very interesting for him. This fight is, could be the fight right before all these big opportunities for him. So it's going to be a fight that he really needs to win. This is his moment to really shine, to stand out after Fulton had his performance, after Inoue had his performance, and you can possibly make your statement here that you're at the level with those guys, because I think that a lot of people have him a few notches below Stephen Fulton and a couple of notches below Inoue. I don't think people are seeing him as equal to those guys, even though he has, a claim to where he can also be undisputed in his weight class. I don't think people see him in there. So he needs to make a statement. I don't think his last performance is a little shaky. I think that he's going to have some shaky moments here. I'll take him in a decision, but I'm very curious if Ronnie Rios can get on the inside to him. Ronnie Rios is a live underdog. I believe he's plus 400. Might want to look into that. I think that there's going to be opportunities for him in this fight. The first fight that's going to open up the card is JessicaMcCaskill. Well, maybe just like the main card, or this is like the main. I'm just want to say like the main card because it does also gets a little like, prelims and all that. It gets a little interesting. But JessicaMcCaskill versus Alma Ibarra, and McCaskill is undisputed for the women's welterweight. And Alma Ibarra, who's I'm gonna guess not a household name, or people. I don't think people are gonna be a lot of really familiar with her going into this fight, but she does have some things that I like about her game. But I think she has some abilities to maybe make this fight interesting. I just don't think she has the athleticism or the power or pop to keep McCaskill on the outside. But McCaskill has shown a little bit of signs, maybe of slowing down. She's been fighting for a while. She's a little bit older. I think that if Alma Ibarra could keep this fight on the outside, it could be very interesting. But I think McCaskill, who is a buzzsaw, who is a lot craftier than what it looks like in there, will figure out a way to really capitalize on the inside. And Ibarra cannot keep up with McCaskill on the inside. And I think McCaskill is going to, her unorthodox style, or a style that you can't really train for, her punching her way in with big shots and working on the inside and really roughing you up. I think that maybe early Alma Ibarra is going to have some success, but it'll be over time that McCaskill begins to break her down and really stand out in this fight. I'm going to pick McCaskill by decision in this fight. I think that McCaskill's kind of an underrated fighter. When you give her credit for, she beat Cecilia Bragas twice. She's worked through a lot of losses. So this is a person with a great heart, a great mentality. And, she's proven in the ring, and she's proven outside the ring that she has no quit in her. I think that there'll be points in this fight, like I said, where Alma's going to have success on the outside. She's all right on the outside. She has some decent boxing on the outside. But I think when McCaskill gets on the inside and she buzzsaws her and breaks her down, I think that Alma's going to have. She doesn't have the athleticness, explosiveness enough that where she slows down, it's like a really slowing down. Her legs are really slow down, and I don't think she's disciplined enough or conditioned enough to me to keep McCaskill outside and to be able to find the space with your legs when you need it, to have the strength to not get worn down when McCaskill's roughing you up on the inside. I don't think she's going to have that. I think she'll fall apart. I'm going to take McCaskill by decision. Now, Rey Martinez was supposed to fight on this card. He was supposed to fight a rematch or a Royal. And in the last fight, if you remember, Royal drops Martinez early. Martinez comes back, drops a Royal. It looks like it's leaning towards Martinez, but it looked like probably possibly a very good fight. And then a cut happens, and a Royal he decides to take his way out of that fight, basically. And I don't know if I blame him. There's a few takes on it where, like, saying that he should have finished, should show some heart, I guess, to finish the fight. But I think that if it's a great opportunity for him, maybe one of the last opportunities for a Royal. And it was going to be a tough fight, and he was put at a disadvantage that wasn't his fault or necessarily like caused by a punch or anything. The disadvantage was because of a headbutt that shouldn't have happened, right? And so why put yourself in a fight that might be your last opportunity? Why would you continue with it if if there's a way out when you're already at a disadvantage? Why wouldn't you take it? Right now, that's to me the smart thing to do. But maybe people question his heart, or just or maybe say that he knew he was going to lose, so he wanted a way out of this fight. Well, he took a rematch. It was going to happen, and Martinez pulls out because of illness. Martinez goes on after that a Royal fight to fight Chocolatito, and this corner does him no favor. He takes a lot of beating. He takes a big beating in that fight. I had a post before that fight saying that I was selling Martinez's stock. I was selling his stock before the Royal fight because he was too. His style was too much on just what he could take and what he could dish out. And there's a very short-lived run for guys like that. And you got to cash out on those guys early. And that's why I really think they took the Chocolatito fight, because they knew that if he was going to have any success or any put himself in for some big paydays or everything, it had to happen early because those guys break down. And I really think the Chocolatito really broke him down, and it's probably not recoverable. That's why I didn't understand why the corner didn't stop the fight. When it was a point where, he had tried, he went in there, he made an effort, and Chocolatito was just landing at will, and they should have stopped the fight. I thought they could have saved him a few rounds of the beating, but he did it, and he might not be the same. Now, he pulled out because of illness this weekend, and who am I to say that that's not the case? But I did think the fight was kind of soon from when Chocolatito tore him apart, but he may never be the same as a fighter. And maybe picking a Royal this week wouldn't have been that bad of a bet, because I was picking him in the first fight, and when he got the drop, I was like, okay, I was on to something here. I think that the vultures are circling Martinez. I think that everybody's starting to see it now. We'll see what happens going forward. They reschedule this fight or what happens. It would have been a great fight on this card. This card's still great with the great main event. And these are two legit guys in at the main event, where Rungvisai versus Bam Rodriguez. Sometimes a guy wins a bout and we just say these are two great champions versus each other. No, this is legit. There could be no bouts here. These are two top guys at 115 pounds that are legit guys in a stacked weight division. 115 pounds to me, it's the number one weight division. If we're just ranking all weight divisions, this is the number one weight division in boxing. Okay, you have Bam Rodriguez, you have Francisco Estrada, you have Chocolatito, you have Ioka, you have Sor Rungvisai, you have Maloney. It's a stacked. You have Bam's brother Franco. It's stacked, completely stacked weight division. It's the most stacked weight division. It has a solid top 10 guys. The depth, star power, quality of the guys is right there. And these are two top guys fighting each other. That's why this fight's so good. You may not be familiar with these guys. You may not. This is the kind of thing where I would say, if you don't know these guys, right, look them up on YouTube. Look up the storylines. You will easily be drawn into this fight. But if you don't have time to do that, you're just a fan of boxing, you will enjoy this fight. That's all I gotta say. If you're just a fan of boxing, this is a good card for you. A great card. Thank you guys for listening. This has been the As Raw podcast.